Okay, looks like we're live. Okay, all right. Okay, hi there. I'm Andrew, by the way, for those that don't know me. And I've been running this series on building a full stack web app with Next.js. And so the whole idea is to make an app from scratch using Next.js. We're going to use Supabase for the database. And we're going to go through the whole sort of planning process and getting everything ready together and go over some of the theory, of course, of why we should do things the way I am showing you. Of course, open to suggestions, not the be all and end all. This is just one way to do it. So um, let's just jump into it, I think. So today's stream is going to be on working on the design of the database. So not actually um, building it as such in any code or anything like that. We're going to use a tool called DBDiagram, and we're going to use that to help us design the database that we're going to put together for our LMS with Superbase. Okay. Let's jump straight into that. So I'm going to be pretty much sitting in Chrome for this whole demo. Um, and I've gone here to DB diagram right here. So you can use this, it's a free tool. I've used this many times in the past. I'm sure many of my past students remember going through using this. But it basically allows you to draw entity relationship diagrams in a nice little web tool. And we'll just start getting into it, I think. Okay, so let's sort of think back and sort of cast our minds back to what we've done previously. Okay, so we have created a table for Superbase, and it's sitting here in the table editor. And we've got a courses table. Okay, so this is basically a table that we started last stream, which was I think about 2 weeks ago now. And in it we have a name and a description and an image for the course, and we can ID. So we can use that as one of the part of the design that we're going to be working on. Um, so let's jump straight to DB diagram and sort of get our heads in the game about how we're going to design this database. Okay, so it's got a pretty simple format. You log in, you can use GitHub for login, which is handy, of course, not having to create another account again. And it's got like a basic demo here, and it's talking about a product category and a product image, and it's a nice sort of starting block there, and it shows sort of the relationship here between these three tables. So these are not the tables that we're going to use, but this is a good place to start so that we can sort of see how the tool works. So the tool is very much it's a representation of the database's tables and those relationships between them. It has the keys, it has the IDs, it has the different types of the data is stored in, and it's all represented in a nice, clean, easy to sort of follow tool. So let's clear this out so that we're starting from scratch. Okay, so once I do that, it's now got no tables in there. Okay, and so we've got the courses table, which is what I was showing before. So we can have a table You don't need to know so much the syntax for this. It does have a bit of help here in the documentation, but you can get along pretty far just by sort of following the examples. Okay, so give it a table name. So this isn't SQL as such. It's just a language that's used for dbdiagram.io. I'm trying to remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it's DBML. Yes, DBML is the syntax for defining a database. So open source markup language used to define database schema structure. DBML is also developed by the team behind dbdiagram. So all the helps in here. It's got the actual outline there of a basic table structure and how to do those relationships in the next page there. So let's go back to our diagram. So we've got a table. We've got courses. That's what I was showing before in the UI for Superbase. Again, it's a very sort of simple sort of markup kind of language. So you got the table name using a plural there for courses. And I need to have an ID. So I'm going to have a course ID. Now, this is going to be a integer. So let's make sure that we do that the correct way. So it's an integer like that, int, and we can have the primary key there. That's what the PK stands for. So if we go like that, okay, it's got a little key icon there for the course ID. So that's very much like what we've got for our existing table here. So the next field in there is a created at. Again, created at, and this is going to be a timestamp. I believe that's the right type. So timestamp, whenever a row is added to this table, it's going to get the timestamp placed on it, and so that we know when that record was actually created. Okay, so we've then got back to, let's have a double check again. We've got the name of varchar and the description of text. Okay, so again, name. So this is the name of the course. Name is a reserved word. You can use that word in this context. So I could actually just change it to course name. That actually might be a better descriptive name of it. And it's going to stop any sort of confusion there. We're going to know when it's a name and it says course underscore name that it is of the course table. And we can give it a varchar like so. Okay, so we've got the course ID, created at, course name, and the varchar. And we're going to have a description. Okay, so this is description for our course. Okay, I'm going to use the text type here because I expect this to be more like a paragraph of content. With varchar, it's I guess more for like a limited name. Ideally, it's sort of varchar will probably store less bytes in the records. Not that that's such a big issue these days. In the past, that is something that people would stress about because, well, RAM was expensive and so was disk space. So thankfully that has changed from then. And so we can have a image as well, and this is going to be a varchar, and it's going to point to some sort of hosting that we will talk about at a later point. But for the time being, it's just going to be a varchar. It could be an actual direct link to where the image is actually located. Okay. All right, so that's going to have our ID for the course, the created app, the course name, description, and the image there. Okay, so we've got one table, um, and that courses table, I mean, it's a key part of our LMS. You need to have a course to be able to learn from. So it's really important that we have this table as part of our sort of our MVP. So let's continue on. I know we need, with anything with a course, you could have maybe a course section. So you've got the course itself, but you need the actual content for each part of it. So what we could do now is a table again for the uh, courses section. So courses section like that. Okay. And so this courses section is going to need a ID. So we can have a section ID, integer again, primary key, like so. And we can do the most important part about it is that we can have a relationship there for the courses to the courses section. So we can have the course ID as an int, and we're also going to need, I guess, something to go into our courses section. So we'll have, what could we have? So a section could be, maybe it's some text. It could be just a sort of a free-form text area. So we could have section itself and the content. Okay. So say I see like a section would be like a page in the course. So we can give it a title. Title would probably be good. Something like that. Gotcha. We'll have the course itself, and we'll have the section of where it is, and we'll also need probably something that probably haven't thought about is something like an order. So we're going to have the order for the section. So what do I mean by that? So imagine you've got a book, and the book would be a course, and in that course you'd have the book, and it would have pages, and each page could have like a title. It could have the order, so like which page it's on. So this could be the order, so 1 to 100, 150, 300, whatever, how many pages your course is going to be. So by having an order there, we can shuffle stuff around if we want to at a later date, which is going to be handy for the people administrating the course. So they're going to need to have some way of being able to order that section. Okay, so imagine we've got the courses page. They're going to have a landing page for that course. They go into the course, they go to the first page, and it would be the one that would have the first item by order. So it'd be the first order there, and then it would display the title, hopefully, and we'll just leave, I think, that section at that, because what I'm going to do the next part in my table structure. So I'm going to have, I've got a courses, I've got a courses section, I'm going to have a courses media. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be, I guess, the actual content itself that sits inside a section. Okay, so it's going to have a media ID. This is getting, I guess, relatively complex pretty quickly, but this is why we're doing it as a diagram so that we can get it clearly in our head about what we're actually trying to do. So we're going to have the media ID, the section ID, and we're going to have the course ID. No, we don't need the course ID, do we? Why do we not need the course ID? Because we've already got the course ID in the section. So if the course's media is linked to the section there, then we should be fine. Okay, so I've got the media ID, the section ID, and then I'm going to have an image. Okay. And I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do the actual section content. So this will be the content. I'm just gonna have it as a text area. I'm thinking I'm going to use sort of Markdown for this, but I'm still in the sort of the early stages of sort of planning out the app, and that's okay. We can change it later. This is, first part of our planning. We don't have to get too caught up on the details too far yet. Okay. Cool. So you can auto arrange that. So just that icon in the middle there, that'll auto arrange all the tables there for us. So it's starting to get that sort of visual look and feel, so we can actually start getting an idea of how this is actually going to work for us. Okay, so we've got the courses section, the courses media. We're also going to need some comments, I believe. So what we can do is we can have that, again, another table, and we can have our courses. This is going to be the comments table. Okay, so we've got this courses comments. We need to link, we're going to link the comments to the media, and the media is going to be linked to the section, and the section is going to be linked to the course row. Okay, so we've got the courses comments. So I'm going to have comment ID, again, another primary key, like so, and we are going to have the student. So I'm going to put the student ID in. And I'm going to put the comment itself. Okay, so we've got a basic structure here now for our courses. We've talked about that we want students to be able to enroll into these courses. So we need to also probably have some way of recording how that's done. There's a couple of different ways we can do that. We'll come back to that because I think it's probably important now that we start showing some of these relationships between these four tables so that we get an understanding of how this data is all going to be tied together. And that's the biggest reason why we use the entity relationship diagram. It just makes it easier for us to understand what the relationships are between the different tables there. It's got a really basic sort of structure here. So you've actually got two ways to do this according to the docs here. So you can do your relationship like so with the ref there pointing to the other table, or you can use for the likes of a many-to-one relationship. You can do the same of having it in line instead, And you can see here it's very similar syntax. It's just that it's got a square brackets around that. Okay, so let's grab this one. We don't really need the first part of it, but basically we're going to have a very much a one-to-many. So let's think about this. Let's look at this diagram and get our sort of head around this. So it's saying we've got a many-to-one relationship. Okay, so in the code here, it's got a reference there, many-to-one, like so. Okay, so we could have the same. So we could have our course ID, like so. And so there's a couple, two different ways that you can see that I've done this. So now it's representing that sort of link between the two. So I've just dragged between one to the other. It's around the wrong way. I'm going to do, so I'm going to have many sections for many Ds. So I'm going to go the other way there. It's a bit better. You can see there when I highlight it, it shows one and the star being many, so one to many. So I've got one course ID. It's going to have many sections. So the course ID here, this is not going to be a primary key. There's going to be multiple versions that will be the same course ID for all the different sort of pages that we're going to have on our course. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So we've got courses, we've got the courses linking from to the section. We now need the, again, same sort of thing. So you can drag and drop that and it will do those lines for you. You could write this out, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Kind of the beauty of this tool is that, you've got a GUI for when you want to use it, and you've also got a quite nice markup language that's easy to share. Another good thing about this, having it be all sort of a markup language that's not specific, you can actually, this is independent of the database it is. So in the case of our project, we are using Superbase, which is basically a hosted Postgres database. So we can make it export this to some PostgreSQL or flavor of PostgreSQL. But this DBML language is actually sort of database agnostic. So we could maybe even export the same thing for the likes of MySQL or Microsoft SQL as well, I believe. Okay, so we've got the courses, we've got the courses section, courses media, and we're going to have the comment ID. What did I miss? I know what I missed. I didn't have anything in my courses comments. Well, we have an ID. We don't have any way to link that back to the media itself. Okay, so let's add that. Media ID. Okay. Cool. Okay, and then we are going to then link that media ID from here to there, like that. Cool. And so if we auto arrange it, I'll tidy that all up nicely for us. Okay, so now we're starting to get that sort of structure there. So we can have, one section can have many media items in it, and of course a media item can have many comments against it, so that the students would be able to, maybe ask questions, or they could maybe tag their instructor, or just try and get some clarification, or maybe put something in a way that they understand it better. So that way, of course, then the course in question is going to actually be make a lot more sense to a lot more people. Okay, so we've got the courses section, courses media, and the courses comments. You got a little bit of play here. You can choose which color your the theming, I guess, for the diagram is. So we can do the same, where we can have a whole lot of structure of tables here, and that to me, I guess the one of the key tables that we're going to require is one that's going to have the students' information. Okay, so students' information, again, something like that. We are going to need a student ID, like so. Again, primary key. And we are going to have a created out. It's like I missed that on some of our other tables. Probably thinking, why do you need to create it at on all these tables? Well, the good thing about a database is by having this extra metadata around it, not only do we have the information about what record was being added, knowing when is actually going to be helpful as well. So maybe we have a error log in our application, and we could actually then trawl back through the created at records there. So we might be able to see if there was an issue there with that table. That could give us some insight there to that. We've got auditing. So a big thing about a lot of apps and the like is it's very helpful to know when something happened or something was recorded. So having that created at timestamp with both the date and the time there, plus the normally it's stored in a format which is it's like UTC or something of a like, so that it's universal time, and all the calculations can be converted to a local time zone if needed. So we've got student ID created at. We will also need, I guess, a big first thing that someone needs, a person or a human or a student. In this case, is going to be their first name. And I'm going to give that a varchar. And give my last name. Again, varchar. And I'm also going to give them a email because I need some sort of form of connecting their account and getting notifications, etc. Okay, so we've got the ID created at the first name, last name, email, etc. Okay, so we've now got our students table. Going back to our comments, we actually had the student ID here. So we would expect there to be a link there between the student ID and the comment. Okay, so we know then that this table now is linked via IDs here. And why have we done it this way? Well, a big thing to remember is with databases and the like, we try to make our data so that it can easily be updated or changed. It's common these days for people, if they are married or in a civil union, etc., they may change their last name. So it would be annoying if you had to repeat the first name and last name on all the comments, so that when that user updates their details, then we'd have to go into multiple records there and update those records if we were storing their first name and last name. But instead, of course, we're storing the student ID. So we're storing instead the link between this table and the other. And that's it, which means that if we do change, if they need to change their last name or first name or email address, they can do so, and they are only going to have to update it in one record and not across the entire database. All right, okay, so we've got the courses. I'm going to actually give this a different color, just to make it a little bit easier for us to easily visually see that. Oh, looks like I don't get that feature. What a shame. So that's one of the pro features there. Not to worry, we can still see that. Okay, so we've got the courses section, courses of media, courses comments, we've got the students, and we're going to need some way of tracking, I guess, the progress of where our students are. Granularity, where would I want to actually record where the student got up to? I could have it right down to the media itself, but I think that that's probably too low into the details. I'd probably be okay if we did just track the progress of the student as maybe they got to page 2 or page 3 of the course. So the section is where I probably want my granularity at. So each student is going to need a progression. So what we can do for that is we can create a students progress table, I think. I think that's what we'll call it. Table students progress. Okay, so this is going to record, like I said, the student, the course that they're on, and what section that they are up to. Okay, so good thing for this is we probably can get away with the one record per student per course, and that way we should be fine in that regards to just track that. So we can do, so we've got the student ID. We're going to have the course section ID, so we're going to need what section ID that they're up to. And then after that, we're going to need to have a, hi there in the chat, I just noticed, sorry. And we're going to need to have, of course, the, when it was last maybe modified. I think that would be a good one to have. And of course the course ID, missed that out. That's pretty important. So again, it's this whole record's going to be made up of these three things. It's going to be the ID, the course ID. Those are the two main records there that we're sort of interested in. And section ID, I guess, will actually be their progress created at. That'd be handy to have some auditing there, so when they first started. And again, thinking about sort of auditing again, modified at, again, this is going to be so when say like the section ID would change. So I'd sort of see it that this table would be tracking the progress of a student. Again, it's linked up between the course ID and it's going to be linked to the student. Okay. And so we're going to have this sort of relationship here between, move that out of the way, make it a little bit easier to see, between the student there and their progress. Okay, so I'd see that their section ID would change as they traverse through the course. They go to the next page. We could then record the following section ID, and then we could also update the modified at timestamps so that we're keeping that progression there. So that when a student comes back in, maybe the first time that they come into the landing page, we have their listed courses and a sort of resume button to resume from where they were last on the course. Cool. Okay, so it's starting to really all come together now. Um, be careful, don't you want to go back and lose any more progress? But yeah, no, it looks like it's just nicely arranged that for us again. Okay, so just double checking on that. Cool. I'm going to give it a name. It's always good to name stuff. So this is our LMS entity relationship diagram. Helps if I can spell. There we go, relationship diagram. So that's looking a bit better. Cool. Okay. Okay, we're pretty happy with that. It's looking, we can now visually see on our head how this all this data structure is now all laid out. We've got a nice little diagram for it. It's good to document these kind of things. Sometimes, you don't have to use, of course, this tool. Maybe it's easier for you just to sketch this out on a piece of paper. But this is something that will, sort of help cement in your head how you're going to have that actually structure of the data there. Okay, so let's actually go to the thing I love most about this tool is it's got a ability there to export some Postgres SQL here. So you can export it. You can export this as a PDF, a PNG, SVG. So you can put that into, say, your documentation. Maybe you put it into a wiki or your README or something like that. You can do that. But you can also use the DBML to generate the Postgres SQL that you are going to need to be able to create your tables. Okay. I just noticed this typo I've got there. That might help. It's not a it, it's an int. Okay, so it's an integer. Okay, so let's do that. And what we can do now, so let's just have a look here at the FAQs. I think was there any more details about that? No, it doesn't look like it. So you can go into here, you can export your Postgres SQL. Okay, so that's gone and downloaded that for me. I'm going to open that in another screen. Okay, so coming back to Superbasis itself, we've got the likes of a table already created for our courses. Okay. So what we can do now, it has a great little tool here. So you've got the table editor itself, but you've also got the SQL editor. So if we open up that, now we've got basically a free area where in a web app we can go and add our table. First thing we're going to do, because I've made probably a few little changes, I think, to my courses, I'm just going to actually just drop that table. That's okay. Dropping off the cascade there, so it's going to delete all that. I shouldn't have been in any cascade anyway because there's nothing linked between them, but why not? Okay, so like I said, we exported the SQL there from our DBML. So let's take a look at it here. So we've got the courses table. You can see it slightly changed the DBML to the Postgres SQL flavor of SQL. So looking at between the two, so you got courses ID there, primary key. It's slightly different, but it actually It's still very easy to read. SQL is one of those languages that isn't too far from English there. It's not a big stretch to be able to easily follow. Okay, so we've got the courses, we've got the courses section, got the section ID, the course ID, the integer, title, varchar, order again, the media, that's okay, courses comments, students, and the student's progress. If we follow down here, you can see where it's got the alter table and it's altering the table name, adding a foreign key, and so it's referenced to that certain ID. Let's actually just go ahead and run that. That's all looking okay to me. Okay, cool. So now we should have all our courses created. Cool. Okay, looks like there's a warning there. We've got to enable some row level security. But you can see it's created that course as we had it in the SQL here. So we've got the ID, created that, the course name, varchar, description, image again, and we'll have the same again for all the different tables here. So this is a great way of being able to quickly sort of sketch out in a tool like this dbdiagram.io, get the, I guess, the entities of the database, how you would like to have them, um, and yeah, just be able to export them to some SQL that you can then run in a Postgres database, or in our case, run it on Superbase, which is basically a hosted version of Postgres for us. Once that's done, we should then have all the tables should all have the foreign keys and the linking between them, so that if, say, I had a course and I created a record here, it would expect in the courses section that that's going to be linked to that course ID. Okay, it has to be linked to a record there because we had it as part of our SQL here. Another great thing about this, now we've got some SQL that is available for us, or we can keep a copy of that locally. We can check that into our source control. So it can be used as sort of a manual migration, which would mean that we could, whenever we wanted to set up an environment like this, you know, with the like Superbase, we can literally start a new account, start a new project, and again be able to replicate that whole structure again of our database structure. And what I could also do, probably next step, would be to go and create some SQL to add some content there. The beauty of that, having it done by an SQL statement, again, is, you know, we can come back if we destroy the database, we break something on it, we can roll it back to a previous state, which is something we always want to be able to do with both our source code and our data. So that's going to allow us to do that. But again, like the DB diagram tool is, you know, such a great, easy to use tool for something that's, again, I'm quite a visual person, and I find it very much easier to sort of start getting that sort of laid out in a sort of visual representation that helps me think about the way that the data is going to be structured and how I can actually build out my database. Is this the be all and end all? Is it finished? No, no, it's not. I will probably change my ideas at later stages, but it's, you know, at this point we're just trying to get sort of the MVP, the most valuable product. As like what I like to call it again, make that most valuable product, and this is a great way to get started building out your table structure, having it in a visual way. You've got a record of it both as some SQL, and you could also export it as a PDF or SVG, etc. So you can embed it in your documentation, and you've got that sort of structure there that's saved. I'll be able to come back to this. It makes these nice links here so you can actually even share these in this tool. So you can see here I've got the share, and I can share, password protector, can invite people, etc., which is pretty cool. And another thing that it also allows is we do have the history here. So we can roll back in time to see and change that. Weird, I've actually got some November 2022. Must have been the last time I used that previously. But that's cool. Interesting to know. And of course, for you lovers of dark mode, there is a dark mode. Cool. Again, I'm going to link this into the chat here. Um, Feel free to have a play, make your own database diagram. I'm going to link this into the documentation, so you'll be able to come back to this. I'm going to add it to the project. I'm going to grab that SQL as well and add that to the project so that we can roll it back. And what I'll do is I'll give it the date and time of when that was created and add that to the SQL file so that we can come back to it at a later point. But that's my how to design a database in a web tool called dbdiagram.io. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you learned something. Please like and subscribe. I've been blown away by the number of people that have been subscribing to the channel. It definitely makes me want to keep doing this. I'm going to try and keep at it. We've still got a long way to go for our LMS project, and I might look at updating the frequency of these because, of course, the more I do in a week, the faster we get along in progress. And we've still got ages to go. All right. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.